Sanyango here, hoping that you are healthy, wealthy, and free and loving your life. Really. Okay. So, Kobe Bryant, the one and only one that I keep speaking about all the time, he talks about playing the long game. And of course, this is very easy if we put it in terms of sports, in terms of basketball, being that when he was 13, 14, 15, he would play his weaknesses, right? So he noticed when he was 13 that, for example, he couldn't dribble with his left hand, that his jump shot wasn't as high, that he couldn't palm a ball the way he should. And he realized that these were things that he needed to improve on. And of course, when you go to a game, like when you're playing a game, you want to win the game, right? But for some reason, he was able to realize that this game right now is setting me up for games in the future. So he basically had his dream in mind. He knew that he wanted to be in the NBA. He knew that his ultimate goal was to be the best basketball player that he could be. So he had that long game in mind. He had already seen it. It was already visualized fully for him. And so in everything that he was doing in the moment, when he was 13, 14, 15, 20, 23, 25, he knew that what he was doing was towards that goal and not for the moment, right? Meaning that at the moment when he was 13, he decided that he would play his weaknesses during the games. So during his high school games, he wasn't thinking about winning the game. He was thinking about strengthening his weaknesses, strengthening his jump shot, dribbling and learning to dribble with his left hand during the games, right? Because for him now, this was the training. And if you watch my previous video where I talk about the training, still from Kobe, training is supposed to be 100 times harder, so that by the time you're in a situation to apply the skills that you've trained for, it's already normal to you. You don't need to put in extra effort. This is the basis for you. That becomes your standard until a harder situation comes where you need to push a little more. But otherwise, because your training has been done so well and so thoroughly, you've conditioned yourself for this level, and therefore when life hits at this level, you're good. Okay? So he was playing his weaknesses during his games, knowing that this was his training ground. What was he training for? Becoming the best basketball player in the NBA, in whatever it is, later on. Okay? And as a sports metaphor, it becomes a little bit easier. But now when you're thinking about it in real life, so for example, in school or in life right now, let me give a situation for me at the moment. So it's really easy when you're just getting into the corporate world and you're a millennial and you have all these ideas to let ego take the forefront. And when I start to think about what is my long game? My long game is to eventually be able to influence people in a corporate situation to make the differences or the changes that I would need to have the change and impact in the community that I am foreseeing. Okay? So this means that I need to be able to learn in every situation that I'm in. And there have been situations recently where, for example, we're in a discussion with a group of people and it feels like I'm being overseen. Like I give an idea or I give this, a suggestion or whatever it is, and it's not seen necessarily when I'm giving it, but when somebody else gives it, then it's an idea, then it's, that kind of thing. which could be really frustrating, because I felt it. Have you ever been in a situation where you're giving the idea, and it's a good one, maybe it's just a suggestion, but then when it comes from somebody else, then it seems like, oh yes, then let's do it. Have you had that before? And so it's really taken me that moment to take a step back and realize I am not in it to get the glory now. I need to think about it from the point of view of I am constantly learning. So what am I learning in this situation? I'm learning that sometimes you need to let somebody else take the glory, or maybe even somebody else needs to give the idea for it to actually be taken forward. You need to get the person of influence to give that idea. You need to allow somebody else to get that glory so that can actually go forward. So I'm playing the long game in the sense that the important thing is not me being recognized for this. The important thing is for the actual implementation of this particular thing, of this idea. It needs to be implemented. So who needs to put it forward for this to be considered? Right? And then that could be applied into, I guess, every situation, right? Because you are learning. In any situation, before I try to defend the fact that I am the one who gave the idea, like, yes, you're saying it, but this is the way I was saying it. Like, I was saying the same thing. Yeah? You're saying that, but I agree with you. I was saying the exact same thing, but I just used different words. So now that you're agreeing with it, let me show you that I was also there. I don't know if this makes sense. So sometimes it's okay to just say, okay, yeah. Even if I was saying the exact same thing, right? It takes a little bit of an ego beater until you put it in the perspective of the long game. What do we want in the long run? Is for them at some point to realize that you can be relied upon for these good ideas. So keep giving the ideas, even if they're being taken away. Keep putting yourself out there. Keep letting them know that you have these options. Don't now take a step back and think, okay, since I'm never going to get the recognition, and as millennials this is difficult because we always want to post the next best thing that's happened to us, or feel that recognition or affirmation or appreciation from somebody else. Suck it up. Just let it go. Because when you are able to consistently deliver, regardless of what the outcome is, but when you are always there to give the idea, at some point they will notice that you are the one that's giving the ideas. Okay? And even if they don't, you're getting the practice in knowing that, oh, these ideas are actually applicable. So even if my ideas, even if they're coming from my mouth and I'm not the one getting the recognition, I realize, okay, so this was a good idea. So I actually have good ideas. Take it in that sense. So it's affirming that what I'm saying is not dumb. It just needs to be said by the right person. So in a different context, when I am the right person, I have the confidence to give my idea because I know that this is actually a good idea, or that it could be a good idea, right? To the long run, the long game. Sorry. Playing the long game, right? And yeah, I mean, that's really an important perspective. I'm getting into it right now because this could be applied literally into everything that I do. Just take a step back and realize that I am learning in order to, the way they say the bow, like you have to pull it back so that the further you pull it back, then the further it will hit or the further it will get to. Think of it in that sense. let go of the appreciation from somebody else. Give yourself that appreciation, that acknowledgement that yes, this was a good idea, this was a good idea, this was a good idea. Yes, it was my idea, therefore I have good ideas, and when the moment comes that I actually need to apply these ideas, whether in this same situation or another one, I am building the confidence that I have to give these ideas. And in addition to that, it also lets me know, it teaches me, or it teaches you to listen more. If you take it from a different stance of, let's just see, so how is it really played out? So I gave this idea, somebody else had it and gave it in different words, and this was accepted. So maybe I need to change the way I word it, okay? And then you realize also how it works, the working of it. So it needs to be done in this way, or who needs to say it. And in addition to that, you learn to listen, because listening is also a skill that you need to learn, right? You learn to listen to the subtleness between the words. What do certain statements imply? How am I supposed to speak to a particular person so that they hear it in the way that I want it to be heard? There's so many aspects to it, but in the long game, then you're no longer the person that's always jumping or overreacting to a situation. You're taking a step back and realizing, okay, what is happening here? What is the situation? How is it going to play out? So that when it happens next, then I know this is how it should play out. This is how it's supposed to happen. And I guess in this sense, because it's not always easy to do it in the moment, then we always need to take that time to reflect on a situation at the end of the day. When something interesting happened in the day, maybe note it down. I'll start doing that. Note it down and realize that I need to think about the situation. I need to analyze the situation and understand exactly what happened. Why did it go wrong? Why did it go right? How could it have been done better? How could I have done it better? And just analyze the situation, because it will happen again in a different context, in a different way. But if you're able to break it down, then you notice these kinds of things. Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting for me to share. I hope it was interesting for you to listen to. And let me know other ways that you, sorry about the noise. Let me know other ways that you feel like you can apply this to your life. The idea of playing the long game, right? Okay. That was my jump for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Live healthy, wealthy, and free, and love your life. Ciao.